Hey guys, welcome back to the Calibrate Tools and DIY channel. So glad you can make it. So glad you can make it. And, join us today every Tuesday at 7 o'clock. I know nobody's really here right now, but I'm going to wait for my regulars to come in and holla at me in the chat. Okay. Holla at me in the chat. Let me know you're here. Okay. Today we're going to have a not so long talk, but I think a very important talk about what it means to succeed and make it to where you want to be. That's why I title it Maintain Momentum in Your Chosen Field. And when I say chosen field, I'm not necessarily talking about a specific one. This could mean in any field that you're into. Me, I like the trades. I deal with the trades. I deal with specific trades all day long. I deal with students. I'm an instructor in a specific trade. And, actually, this week is the last week of the course that some of my students are taking. Okay, it's a welding course, and they're on their last week, and they're about to get certified. So if any of the students happen to see this live, hey, I want to say I'm proud of you guys. You made it through. You did a very good job. This is actually one of the better classes that I've had. I mean, it's actually one of the biggest classes as well. But they came in there and they did their thing, man. I mean, they're really cranking out some good weld beads. They're really making it happen. So I want to say, guys, I'm proud of you for making it happen. And you're going to get their certification and it's going to change your life. Yeah, it changes lives, guys. It changes lives. And I've seen it happen, class after class. Students come from all kinds of backgrounds. They get their certification and it's off and running. For some of them, it's the most important thing they ever did in their life, just to get a piece of paper to show, hey, I went through this course. I completed something for the first time in my life. I completed something. Now let's see what else I can do. I've seen tears being shed just for that piece of paper, just for a month-long course, guys, month-long course that changed their lives. And that's because they kept the momentum, right? They kept the momentum. They didn't give up, and they stuck with it. And hey, that's part of the game. That's part of the game. If you can stick with something long enough, it's guaranteed to pay off in one way or the other. Okay, it's in one way or the other. So anyway, guys, come on in. Once again, it's sponsored by Calibrate.com. Okay, on Calibrate.com, we sell all kinds of great gift items for you. The holidays are coming up. Check it out, Calibrate.com, and that's be a great way to support the channel. Go check out what we have. We're constantly thinking of new products, constantly expanding the product line. And so go check out Calibrate.com. Okay, guys? Right there on the link's in the description, by the way. So anyway, guys, how you doing? Come on in and tell me how your week was. Just say hi. I don't care. Just come on in and acknowledge the live, acknowledge that you're here. And that's great. But if you catch me in the replay, that's fine too. That's fine too. But I like to converse. One of the reasons I didn't start out doing lives, by the way, guys. I kind of said, okay, let me find a better way to connect with the audience other than just recorded videos. I like live interaction. I like all the input that you guys give in the chat, and the back and forth is what I thrive on. So, don't be shy. Come on in live and let your presence be felt. Okay. So anyway, I'm gonna jump right into it, guys. It's not gonna be a long live. Maintain momentum in your chosen field. Okay. First of all, what is momentum, right? What is momentum? Can somebody tell me what momentum is? Well, if we look at the definition of momentum, right? There's actually two definitions. In the laws of physics, it's defined as the quantity of motion of a moving body measured as a product of its mass and velocity. Now that's a bunch of scientific, terminology, mass, velocity, moving body, and all that stuff is pretty much saying, how much movement a particular thing, whatever that is picking up over a period of time, right? All right. So the other definition is, it says the impetus gained by a moving object, all right? The impetus and driving force gained by the development of a process or a course of events. So if we look at something that's standing still, it doesn't necessarily have momentum, right? It's not moving. It's not doing it. At least maybe it's atoms and molecules are moving, but it's not moving anywhere in space and time. It's sitting in one place, right? And that's fine if you're a tree or you're a rock or something like that. But as human beings, let's we can't stand still for too long, right? If we stay still for too long, guess what? We are going to decay. We need movement. We need our blood to move. We need to exercise. You know, I was a trucker for a long time. I still do it. And sitting in that truck for hours on end. I mean, in the beginning, it was great, right? I got to see the whole country and everything. But it got, for me at least, got old after a while. But sitting in that truck is one of the most unhealthiest things that you can do to your body, hours on end. And I know you can get, you can make a decent living being a trucker, right? I mean, you can, especially if you start your own trucking business. But as a truck driver, you're just sitting all day long. Not good. Not good for the body. The body's not getting any exercise. Not to mention the bad eating habits you pick up while you're over the road, right? It's just a very unhealthy lifestyle if you're not disciplined. Now, I know they probably have some very disciplined truckers in terms of, their diet and stuff like that, not stopping at the truck stops, not eating at the fast food restaurants. That's the lifestyle that a trucker, I'd say, starting out, you may have, and some continue that lifestyle, and it's very, very unhealthy. Okay, it's very unhealthy, and that's because the body's not moving, man. You're just sitting there, and so if you don't get out of your truck every now and then, go for a walk, exercise, have a regimen, right? Have goals for your health, your fitness, then you will pay the consequences later. And you can apply that analogy to anything, or you can apply that to really any other situation in life, right? You can say, okay, you got some money sitting in the bank, but if your money's not moving, guess what? The value is going down. The value of your money is going to go down if it's not moving, if you don't have it, doing other things, if you don't have it working for you, right? The value is going to go down. So you think, okay, I'm going to save. But over the course of 10 years, with inflation and everything, the value of that money just sitting there has actually is worth less than it was the minute you put it in the bank. So this concept of momentum and movement, right, is very necessary. Very necessary for growth, very necessary for expansion in any area of your life. Like I said, the students that are about to graduate this week, all right, give them a hand. They're about to graduate this week and get their certifications, their welding certifications, right? They made a choice, took the class, and gained momentum, learned, still learning. And at some point, because they stuck with it, and that's the key right there, sticking with it, sticking with something long enough to get some benefit out of it, right? Some benefit. Everybody's on a different level, but everybody will 100% sure they will gain a benefit just by attending the class and getting certifications, right? So that's how it is in life. You gotta keep it going, man. You gotta keep moving, whether that's educating yourself constantly, just being, if you want to be at the top of your game, you can't be sitting still. You can't rest on your laurels, because what was hot maybe 5 months ago is not hot now, right? Technology moves so fast that you have to keep up with it. You have to constantly feed your brain, educate yourself. And just like you have to exercise your body, right? Because if you sit still too long, it's gonna have health problems. You gotta exercise your intellect, right? I'll even go as far as say you got to exercise your emotional maturity, right? Because that's another thing a lot of people neglect to talk about because once again, this channel's about home improvement, DIY, and all that stuff. But on the lives, it's not just about home improvement; it's about self-improvement. Because what's the point of having a nice home that you put together, built, and you know how to use all the tools, but you haven't built yourself. You haven't built yourself to withstand the storms, right? Either, right? So if something happens in your life, all kinds of trauma. If you have trauma in your life and you're not emotionally stable, right? Guess what? It doesn't matter how good you are with tools, how good you are at building houses. Your life's, it's going to be a wreck. It's going to be a living hell, and that's why sometimes we see some of our fellow human beings out there on the street. They had it all at one time, and then something happened, and then they just lost it, and now they're, at the lowest point in their lives, right? So Yeah, we cannot neglect emotional fortitude as well when it comes to um, getting to where you want to get. Right, that's very important because you will get hit. You will get hit. Right, like Mike Tyson said, everybody's a what do you say? Everybody's a hero or something like that until you step in the ring and get hit in the face or something like that. I don't remember exact words, but that's a really good analogy. And until you really step out there in the world, right? Uh, and you're gonna get hit. You're gonna get hit. You're gonna get things are gonna happen. That's just the nature of the beast. Okay, you're not gonna come into this world and everything's gonna be like peace and roses and stuff. No, this world could be like a living hell sometimes. But actually, that's the pressure test, right? We all have to be pressure tested to see what we're made of. An analogy to that is, let's you take a piece of fruit, take a piece of fruit and you squeeze it, and what comes out of it, juice or the pulp or whatever comes out of that. Well, in life, when you go through something, you're gonna get, it's like getting squeezed, right? It's like getting uh you know being put in a, I don't know how to describe that, but put in something that just uh tests you, see what kind of character you have. And if your character is not that strong, that's going to come out too, and that's going to show, right? We can't lie to ourselves. We can only lie to ourselves long enough, right? Before, because we know we know what we're dealing with on the inside, and it's only a matter of time before other people know too. You can only hide something for so long. So um, yeah, you're gonna get tested. That's part of the game too. Once you understand this whole journey right here, right, being tested, right, this you're gonna be tested to see what you're made of, right? It's gonna squeeze you to see what comes out of you, right? And whatever comes out, uh, well, that's just revealing what you need to work on. No judgment here, right? Even though some really messed up things come out of people, and we see that, all you gotta do is go on social media to see what's inside a lot of people, right? Um, and sometimes you don't even have to squeeze them. That's just who they are, right, on the outside. But yeah, so uh, emotional maturity, guys. Emotional maturity is very, very important, uh, and that's the intellect and all that other stuff is important too, right? Skills and all that, but none of that stuff matters. None of that stuff matters if you don't have emotional maturity, right? Because I don't care how much you know, how smart you are, you're weaker than the man or woman who knows how to control their emotions, right? Because that's the key right there. All right. So yeah, momentum is very important. You have to, like I said, there are different keys to it. I know I'm approaching the subject in a kind of unorthodox way, but I think you understand what I'm saying here, right? If you want to succeed at something, um, you have to gain momentum on it. You have to gain momentum. You have to keep that momentum, and all that means is what kind of habits are you building, right? Now, in the course, the welding school, they have to be there every day, 5 days a week, right? So automatically they're forced to build a habit to get up early in the morning. Right, get up early in the morning and come to school. So that means they got to do everything, just like whatever, just like regular school, right? You got to get up in the morning, or if you're in the military, you got to get up at 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, like I used to do. And all these things, all this is part of developing habits of success, right? So, and they're simple things. The elementary, basic things you have to do is show up. First thing, I mean, show up. Okay, if that's half the battle right there, show up, and everything else take care of themselves. Like, show up, listen, be patient, not just with other people, but with yourself. Okay, because you may not be doing as well as you thought you could be, right? You're gonna have to overcome some fears, some anxieties, some confidence issues, right? You're gonna have to deal with all of that. But once you get that out of the way, automatically you're successful, right? You get all that stuff out of the way, automatically you're going to be operating in a higher state of being when it comes to moving in this world, right? So you get rid of all the crap, just like you got to throw out the trash, throw the trash out. What's the trash? Lack of confidence, right? Lack of confidence. Uh, giving up too soon. Um, involving yourself around the wrong crowd. Sometimes it's best to be alone, guys. It's best to be alone. And if you're a type of person that needs people around all the time, it's going to be hard for you, right? Success is going to require that you sometimes seclude yourself from everything else, everybody else. And it doesn't mean like if you got a family or something like that, that's different, right? But even then, right? Sometimes you got to seclude yourself from your family, your loved ones, right? Have time to yourself because they can be a distraction themselves, right? Um, so you have to know how to, how do I put this? You have to know how to give yourself some space, right? And it's nothing to do with you don't like that person or that no. It's for your own growth. It's for your own growth, right? So because even your loved ones can be the weeds that choke your success, right? Even your own loved ones can be the weed that choke your momentum, right? So you have to know, you have to have the discernment to be able to say, hey, you know, um, that's my loved one, but they're I gotta give them some space right now, right? Because they're not there yet, right? And you have to understand that this is very important. This is very important, knowing how to do that in the right way, right? Because you don't want to alienate people, but at the same time, they, even if they're not on your level, they have to care about you enough to understand, hey, look, this guy has this person, this my loved one has a future here, and I can't sabotage it. I understand how it feels to be sabotaged by a loved one, right? And it's not a good feeling when you look back on it, but then you understand, hey, man, that's my brother, sister, whatever, but they're not, they're not there yet, right? So, um, you kind of distance yourself from them for a minute. And I had to do that with not just loved ones. I had to do that with friends as well, because that alone time, all right, that you give yourself, that's the I don't say that's the diamond in the rough, right? That's the diamond in the rough of your success, right? Being able to be alone and just focus. Number one, focus, right? So yeah, show up, focus, and just put in the work. Put in the work, right, guys? Whatever you do. So that's how you gain momentum. That's how you gain momentum when it comes to getting where you need to be, right? And don't overwhelm yourself by thinking, okay, I have to get there, so fast, right? It doesn't have to be that way because then you're putting too much pressure on yourself, and you don't want to do that, right? You want to pace yourself. At the same time, you don't want to procrastinate either. I think I talked about that in another live. Procrastination and perfectionism and the demons of that those two are, right? Because that's what they are, right? They'll come in and wreck your life. And sometimes, perfectionism can be disguised as something so noble. Oh, look, they're being so perfect, and like you're such a perfectionist. And no, well, they got a lot of perfectionists out there that broke, that are living on the street, right, or whatever. So don't let that fool you either. There is a place for doing the best you can, right? Doing the best you can. But even if you look at nature, nature is not asymmetrical. It's full of asymmetry. I mean, or symmetrical, I should say. Nature itself is not symmetrical, meaning that everything looks perfect. No, nature itself. Just look at creation. It's not. Just look at nature. It's asymmetrical, right? It's things are some things like this and other things like this. But that creates the beauty of it all, right? So, whatever your concept of perfectionism is, if it's all about trying to get something just right, that'll never happen. You'll never be satisfied. You're trying to satisfy that little imp on your shoulder that tells you, no, you could do better than that. Let's stay and let's focus on that. And you never get anything done. There has to be a point where you say, no, okay, this is good enough, and let's move on, because that'll sabotage your momentum, right? It will sabotage your momentum all day long. Perfectionism will do that. Okay. So here's another analogy I'd like to bring to the table right here. Notice how it's so easy to get to go to jump into bed or fall into bed and go to sleep than to get up out of bed. You guys ever notice that? It's easy for things to fall than for them to rise, because you got this thing called gravity. You got this thing called gravity out there. And in some cases, gravity can be your friend, but when it comes to rising to the heights, it's definitely not your friend, right? Think of a rocket ship. Think of how many boosters and how much thrust and fuel and whatever, explosive force it needs to lift itself off the ground, right? Not just lift itself off the ground, but rise to a point where it breaks the gravitational pull of the earth, right? Think about that. And then think about how easy it is for it to fall back to earth, right? Or, like I said, think of how easy it is to fall into bed and go to sleep than sometimes to get out of bed and stay awake. That's the test right there, right? Because it's always going to be easy to fall and go to sleep, right? It's always going to be easy to give up and drop back into your old habits. It's kind of like going to sleep again, right? You're walking around, you gave up on that goal, or you didn't pivot correctly. Because I like to differentiate between giving up and pivoting, two different things. I would define giving up as just throwing in the towel as far as any kind of goal is concerned, right? You're just done, right? Pivoting is not throwing in the towel. It's saying, okay, I see another direction here. I'm going to go that direction, but my main goal is still intact and I'm still heading there. That's the difference. Okay. Sometimes we don't give things enough time, but there is a difference between pivoting, adapting, and just falling by the wayside. Okay. So no, it's sometimes the laws of physics tell us everything we need to know about life, right? Nature tells us everything we need to know about life and how to get to the next level. So it's a lot easier to fall than to rise. And if we could master the art of rising, right? Which who's mastered that, right? We all fall sometimes. But how about this? Let's add something to that. The art of rising or getting up after we fall, after we keep falling and getting up. Because in the getting up process, that's where we build character. And the falling process is not, if we look at it from a larger perspective, it's also something good. We can get a lot of good out of that. Okay, what mistakes did we make, right? Why am I in this position here? So sometimes I guess both are necessary, right? Both are necessary to gain momentum, right? So that's what you want to do. All right, so let's see here. I saw a couple of quotes that I like to read to you guys. I thought were pretty good. Concerning this topic here about habits, right? And this is what even me myself, I'm not quite there yet, but I'm a work in progress, just like everybody else. But I kind of like this quote right here. It says, "Habit is a cable. We weave a thread each day, and at last we cannot break it." That's one of the most powerful quotes I ever heard. Right? I know there was another a quote that's similar to it. It's saying the same thing, but I can't remember that. But think about that, guys. Habit is like a cable. Think about a cable, right? Or a piece of nylon rope. That's made of little small, tiny, thin ropes all wound together, right? To make one thick rope, right? So each of those thin pieces of rope or wire, think of a cable like a cable that holds up a tower or something like that, or those big thick cables like on a bridge or something like that. All of that is many smaller cables together to create one big cable that can't be broken. Now, by itself, that cable could probably be broken much easier, but together, that cable is very, very hard to break and it's very strong. Well, that's what your habits are like. Your habits are like those small cables that enough of them will create a habit that's very, very hard to break. So you got to be careful what kind of habits you're building, right? What kind of habits are you building, right? Because our mouths can say something all day long. Oh, I want to be this. I want to be that. But our habits speak much louder than our words do, right? It's easy. Words are easy to say, right? To make yourself feel good. Thoughts are easy to think to make ourselves feel good in the moment, right? To give ourselves excuses. But it's our habits and actions that actually tell who we are. And I know we've all heard that many times, but You can deny it all you want. I can deny that all I want, but that's the absolute truth. I mean, if my habits are what they are, then I don't care what my mouth says. It's gonna show in my life, right? So, um, yeah. So if you develop the art of and I say art, right, because sometimes it can seem like an art, the art of creating good habits, right, in your life. Um, and I'm not saying you got to be perfect. All of us have certain habits, whether it's diet, whether it's this or that, or you know, uh, we all have things we can work on. But as long as I'd say if 80% of your habits are good habits, you'll be okay, right? You'll be okay. So, um, yeah. So if we develop the art of developing good habits, right? Even if you start small, right? And it all starts up here, right? This is where all the sabotage happens, right? We sabotage things right up here first before they happen out there, whether it's relationships, whether it's, jobs, whether it's, whatever, um, it starts right here. So we got to work on this right here. Okay. We got to kind of clean out see what's in there, see what's up here first, right? That's holding you back, because that's usually what it is. I know there's a lot of obstacles, there's a lot of resistance on the outside. I mean, all you gotta do is turn on the news, right? You see all kinds of stuff happening to people doing stuff to people and stuff like that. But a lot of times our main enemy is right up here, right? So we gotta learn how to identify the enemy hiding right in our heads, right? So and what is that enemy doing? What is that enemy doing to us to keep us in the position that we're in, right? Because sometimes we don't even know unless we do a deep dive. And I guess that's why some people go to therapy and all that stuff. I'm not saying, I'm not trying to tell people to go to therapy, but I see, from my perspective, I see that's the only reason someone would go there is to identify their stumbling blocks, the roadblocks that's keeping them from moving to the next level, right? So, and sometimes people need that. Sometimes you need an outside party to identify what's going on with you, right? That's why people pay, psychiatrists make big money, right? Or whatever. I think they do. I don't know. It's not small money, but yeah, sometimes we need that extra, that third party to maybe talk to and about what's going on, and maybe they can identify certain things that we can't see because we're too close to the situation. It's kind of like trying to look at your hand and see your fingerprints by looking at your hand like that. You can't see it because you're too close to it. But if you back, somebody else can see from a distance better than you, right? So that's the ultimate definition of teamwork right there, right? That you're not, you can't do everything, right? Sometimes people can see things that you can't see, right? So identifying our inner enemy first, right, I think will help defeat our outer enemies much quicker, right? Because we all have outer enemies, okay? And that's a whole nother conversation. But yeah, so yeah, learn how to do a self inventory, right? Clean out the house. Just like if you're moving to another state, or like maybe down the block, or you're just doing some spring cleaning. We need to do spring cleaning in our heads too, psychologically. We gotta say, well, man, over time, all this trash has been accumulating in my brain, in my head, in my mind. What can I got to get it out of there. If not, it's gonna rot in my head. It's gonna cause all kind of confusion and stuff like that. And then we're gonna attract the same kind of people in our life. And that's why I say it's good to get away from people at times. Sometimes it's good to be by yourself for a period of time. Even like I said, even if you got a family, you got kids and stuff, your alone time is very important as well. Okay. Even for them, they need alone time too. So you can come back together in a healthier way. Right. So yeah, all of this has to do with gaining momentum in your life, in your chosen field, whatever that is. You want to equip yourself with the mental, emotional, and physical tools, meaning your health, right? All of that. You want to equip yourself and make it as, optimize those things as much as possible, right? If you want, like, this live is not for everybody. This subject matter is not for everybody. Some people, sometimes we're comfortable where we are. We don't see that we need to move ahead in life. That's fine. If you're there, great. If you're not, then what I'm saying today, doesn't resonate with you at all, you're probably gonna, go watch something else. Maybe go watch, somebody, all the other stuff that's on the internet that's so enticing and alluring, right? So salacious, right? It feeds that, that part of us that needs that stimulation, right? That's surface stuff. It doesn't go deep. If you need that, then I'm sure you probably won't be watching this live too long. But if you feel the urge to dig deeper within yourself and say, hey man, what's that bald head guy talking about? And listen, hey, I appreciate it, right? Maybe you get something out of this. So yeah, you can tie everything I'm saying, you can tie into anything you're doing, no matter where you are in life, you can tie these principles in, right? Know that you're going to be tested. Pressure, I call that the pressure test, right? In welding, right? Sometimes they have different forms of testing the weld, right? They have destructive testing, non-destructive testing, X-ray testing, all kinds of testing, right? You can get into that, but they have to test the weld to see if the integrity of the weld is good, right? So if there's too many cracks or something like that, that's not allowable, then that weld is no good, right? You got to do it again, right? Only a certain amount of defects or I would say discontinuities are allowed in a weld, and so there's various means to test it. They have bend tests where they have this machine that actually presses the metal, the thick metal. It actually bends it, right? It's a very powerful machine. I think it uses air compression to do that, and it bends the metal to see if it holds up, right? And so it's the same thing with you, right? You will be tested in all kinds of circumstances in life out there by people. It can be people all around you, right? You can be people that are closest to you, right? They're usually the ones that are going to test the crap out of you. People you care about, they're going to test you, right? Because if if you didn't care about them, right, who cares what they did? They wouldn't bother you at all. So it's really not a test, right? So, but if you do, then and they do things, I guess that's the purpose of caring about somebody, is that they're going to test you, you're going to test them, right? And that's how you grow, right? That's the point. That's we as human beings. That's what relationships are for. It's not just for the other person; it's for our own personal growth as well. So, yeah. So this is how you gain momentum in all areas of your life, is knowing the stages that you're going to go through. And if you can pass the test, right, you can pass, and maybe not all the time, but if you can look back and say, okay, I used to be that way, I'm not that way anymore, then that's growth, right? You can give yourself a hand for that. But if there are certain things that are trigger you, right, even 50, 40, 50 years later that trigger you, right, 10 years that still trigger, that's something that still needs to be dealt with. Learn to identify that, because if you know that it's something that's destructive to you, yourself, and your relationships, okay, then that's something that needs to be dealt with. And sometimes it's good to get tested every now and then to see where you're at, right? You gotta see where you're at, right? Sometimes you stray away from you stray away and you think everything's good until that trigger happens, and you say, man, I'm still thinking this way, I'm still feeling this way about that. Yeah. Now there's some things though that you shouldn't compromise, right? You should feel a certain way about certain things. Certain things shouldn't change. You should be angry about certain things that happen out there in the world that you witness, or certain behaviors from in yourself as well, that you should always feel a certain way about it, right? Because that tells you, hey, look, something needs to change, right? So yeah, so I guess based on the title of the video or this live, he probably said, okay, he's going to talk about momentum and all that stuff. But notice how the subject was approached in all different angles, right? You notice that, right? So that's the way I kind of like to do it in unorthodox ways, because we can get a bigger perspective, much larger perspective of what it means to move forward in whatever you're doing, whether it's your job, business, life in general. Okay, you just want to just to be able to have a 360 view of a subject, whatever that is the best way. It's the best way to have it, because then you can understand the different angles. You can also, if you approach things that way, you understand how other people feel about things, right? You're not so quick to judge, right? Because everybody has a different perspective. So, yeah. So anyway, guys, that's my take on maintaining momentum in life in your chosen field. And, I hope you learned something from this little talk here. Not too many people came in the chat, but, it's all right. Catch it on the replay. The goal is for you to, at least gain something from each of these lives, just like I do. And I love the back and forth and all of that. But, it's fine if I'm just talking to the camera too. Somebody's going to hear it. So anyway, guys, I appreciate you. Don't forget to check out the channel, right? I got some good videos coming up, right? Some good content coming up concerning some tools and all that stuff. We got some good content on the channel. And once again, congratulations to all the upcoming graduates of the welding school about to get certified. Take yourself to the next level. You did something great. I just want you to know you did something great. And I want you guys to continue to maintain momentum, right? Don't lose the momentum. Once you get that certification, I don't want you to lose it, right? That's just the beginning. Now you got to go out there and put the work in. You got to go out there and show what you're made of. That's when the real tests start, okay? Got you a skill now. You got a skill that you can go out there, take care of your family, and go as far as you want in that field, okay? So anyway, guys, have a good one. I appreciate you coming on, checking out the live. Hope you got something from it. I'll see you guys next time.